Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Tonight is supposed to be, this is supposed to be our Met Hasidic Tafsir class, whereas I usually we go over the book, the Met Hasidic Tafsir by Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid. But because of some of the questions that you guys were asking me today and yesterday, some of the new shahadas, I decided to do something a little differently. It seems like all of you, as the new shahadas, are, basically saying the same thing, that why is it that, when you listen, we have all these Muslims on social media platforms speaking about Islam, lecturing about Islam, telling you about Islam. But some of the things that they're saying, in fact, most of the things they're saying are so weird, and they're not connecting together. Many of you complain about how that a lot of the people that you listen to on YouTube and social platforms, they speak about Islam, and instead of referencing their knowledge to the Quran or referencing their knowledge to what the Prophet said or the companions, it's always some sheikh, some scholar, someone else. To the point where one of the brothers has asked several times here, who do we listen to? Sister Laila, do we listen to the companions or do we listen to the scholars? I mean, that's kind of sad when I get questions as a daya. When I get questions from Muslims asking me who's right, the companions or the scholars, that lets me know as a daya that something is wrong, that we have a serious problem as Muslims, a serious problem, whereas Muslims today don't understand, they're being tugged away from the true Islam, and when you listen to social media, these brothers are 100% correct. Because when I listen to some of these du'a or these people speak about Islam, I'm like, what are they talking about? Because they're reading from books written by men instead of reading from the hadiths. They're my sheikh said this, sheikh so-and-so said that, imam so-and-so said this, scholar this said that, mufti this. I'm like, oh my God. So tonight, what I'm going to do, you guys hear me say every day, I'm always saying that these are the days of fitan. These are the days that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke that would come to be for the later generations, which is our generation, where Islam has become strange. This is not the real Islam that we're seeing. This is not the traditional Islam that we're seeing. This is not the Islam that our Prophet Muhammad came with. This is not the Islam that all the other prophets of Allah submitted themselves to. This is something different. And so what I decided to do is share for this class tonight a hadith, one of my favorite hadiths, that when I was growing up here in America, back in the 60s, when Islam was really strange, because people didn't know what Islam was. They thought that Islam was the nation of Islam. They thought that Elijah Muhammad, was a prophet of Allah, astaghfirullah. And I was the only person in my, not just, my community, but in my city and school, because who was not upon that. I was always upon the traditional Islam, which is what the Prophet Muhammad came with. And it was strange. And my stepfather, I was raised by my stepfather. My real father died. He was Arabic and I didn't know him well. He died when I was, 6 years old or something like that. I don't even remember. But my stepfather raised me, and he was a good man. He was an African American man, and he raised me, and he used to tell me this hadith whenever I would get out of hand. Uh, he would sit me down, and he would reiterate this hadith to me. And I want to just share it with you guys today. And whenever my stepfather would teach me this hadith and go over the meaning of it with me, it always brought peace to my heart. Living in a society and an environment where I was the only one who was different. I was nothing like any of the other kids. I didn't look like them. I didn't behave like them. I didn't dress like them. I didn't speak like them. I was not of them. Yet, I was better than them. And I knew it. And a lot of the kids today don't think this way, and they don't have that self-esteem that I had. So I'm going to switch the topic to this one hadith in hopes that it'll give all of my new shahadas, the faith and the strength to carry on with this religion and to stay upon the straight path, the traditional Islam, and leave alone those YouTube channels with these brothers who are praying in the streets, Taraweeh in the streets. What a sacrilege. If the Prophet Muhammad were living today, if any of those original companions were living today and saw these Muslims taking the Taraweeh prayer, which is something sacred during this month, and instead of getting the rewards of forgiveness by praying in the mosque behind the imam, as the Prophet said, they're praying in the streets with prostitutes, drug addicts, alcoholics, naked women, kafirs, spit, pollution, and filth, and dogs walking around. If any of those companions were here, they just turn their away from us, and they would question if any of us are even Muslim at all. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen so I can share this hadith with everyone listening to me today. And again, bear with me because I just threw this hadith together, the PowerPoint that is, not the hadith. And what is the hadith? This is the hadith that my stepfather used to sit down and share with me on a regular basis. And it's also taken from advice that our prophet gave to the young companions. And that hadith is, be in this world as if you are a stranger or a traveler. So let's talk about this beautiful hadith. Okay. This hadith is narrated to us from the authentic Sunnah from Ibn Umar. For those of you who don't know who Ibn Umar was, he was the son of Umar, radiallahu anhu, and he was a young boy. And he was one who was so sincere in his faith and belief that our prophet loved him as if he were his own son. Even though Umar was his best friend, he loved Ibn Umar as if he were his son. And our prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made dua for him, asking Allah to give Ibn Umar a deep understanding of this Quran and make him, a person who will be with him in paradise. Well, Ibn Umar shares with us that one day when he was a young boy, the prophet took him by the shoulder and he said to him, be in this world as if you were a stranger or a traveler on a path. And Ibn Umar tells us that he never forgot these words, nor did he ever forget the meaning behind them, because the older he became, the meaning became more apparent to him. In fact, other people, other companions said they would hear him say this frequently. They would hear Ibn Umar say, when he became a great teacher, he used to say to his students, if you live to see the evening, then do not expect to live to see the morning. And if you live to see the morning, then do not expect to live to see the evening. Take from your health before sickness overtakes you, and take from your life before death overpowers you. Subhanallah. These are the words that Ibn Umar used to say to his students as a result of sharing what the Prophet said to him, to be in this life as if you were a stranger or a traveler on a road. Subhanallah. So this hadith is one of my favorite hadiths. And it's a hadith that my stepfather, may Allah bless him and forgive him of his sins. Ameen. And may Allah make his grave spacious. Ameen. It's a hadith that my stepfather used to often share with me when I was a kid, ages 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Because this hadith is the foundation of hope in this life, and to not go over in your hope. Remember, Islam is all about balance. Allah commands us to be people of dignity, people of humility and balance. You don't want to lean too far to the right, nor lean too far to the left. We want to be balanced in our behavior, balanced in our speech, balanced in our eating habits, balanced in our sleeping habits, balanced in our love, balanced in our hate. So this hadith is the foundation for limiting our hope in this world. As people who are Muslims, striving to become believers, we must not take this life or this world as a permanent place of residence, nor should we attach our heart too much to this world. And this is what we see these brothers doing today. These brothers that we're looking at on social media, and we're asking, why are they doing Taraweeh prayer in Times Square? Didn't we just read the hadith where the Prophet said your prayer should be in the mosque, not the marketplace? Didn't we just read the verse of the Quran where Allah says that the mosque are the houses of Allah and they are maintained by the believers? So why are these brothers making the mosque a place of abandonment? Why are these brothers leaving the masajid and gathering the people together to pray in a filthy street with cameras, while these brothers pose on TV like they're famous celebrities with sunglasses on and hijabs on and gowns and go on and silver and gold necklaces, some of them on? This is because these brothers need to ponder this hadith and not take this life and make it your permanent residence, and not attach their heart to this world. It's all about fame. It's all about money. It's all about the Guinness Book of Records. It's all about being on TV, on CNN News. So this advice that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave to Ibn Umar is the same advice that the other prophets, Moses, Abraham, Jesus, and all the others lived by too. And this is something that we need to be reminded of today in 2025 as Islam becomes strange, as the Sunnah becomes forgotten, and as the Sunnah becomes abandoned. Listen to what Allah tells us who believe in him about Pharaoh. Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning that Pharaoh told his people, he said, "Oh, my people, truly this life of the world, okay, is the best. But look at what Allah said in return. He said, "Oh, my people, truly this life of the world is nothing but a quick passing enjoyment, and the hereafter is the home that will remain forever." Those brothers and sisters that we see on social media who have twisted this religion and turned it into something that's a subscriber list of who can get the most followers, who can make the most money off of people watching their ridiculous videos on Islam. They need to be reminded that nothing in this world is forever. Death can come at any moment. You can be standing up in Times Square, looking at the camera, praying Taraweeh, and somebody rides past on a motorcycle and knocks you over on the ground and kills you. Or you could be standing there on Times Square praying Taraweeh, and a crazy drug addict just decides, "I'm sick of looking at these people." He decides to come out of a store and start shooting and take your life. That quick. Like the Prophet said in another hadith, the last deed that we do could determine if we end up in paradise or hell. Here you are on TV showing off. Like Allah says, there will come the time where some people will beautify their prayers. But they're not doing it for Allah. They're doing it for the men, to be seen of mankind. Here, what looked to be a good deed, you weren't doing it for Allah. You were doing it to set the Guinness Book of Records. You were doing it because you want to be famous. You should have been doing that Taraweeh prayer in the mosque, behind the Imam, as the Prophet Muhammad said. But because you chose to get more YouTube subscribers, more money, more fame, that's the deed that you die upon. Can you imagine that? Again, this life is nothing but a quick passing enjoyment. The hereafter is forever. So we have to be conscious of the choices we make in this world, guys. It's easy to be tempted with money, fame, women, power. It's easy to succumb to that. It's harder to resist the fame, resist the money, and say, "I choose Allah over all of those temporary pleasures." Listen to what Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, listen to what he used to say to the people. He used to say, "Certainly this life has begun to travel away, but the hereafter has already started traveling forward, and each of them has their children. So be from the children of the hereafter, and do not be from the children of this world. For indeed today there is action with no account, But tomorrow there will be action with no account. So again, guys, what choices are we making? What choices are we making? This world is temporary. There's people that will have everything in this world. Allah will give them all the money like Pharaoh had, all the fame, all the glory. But when they die, what do they take with them? That money doesn't follow them. That fame doesn't follow them. YouTube doesn't follow them. Their subscribers don't follow them. The only thing that follows us are our deeds. What good deeds do we have? Many of us will have burned our good deeds because we did them not with the intention of pleasing Allah, but with the intention of pleasing man, looking for fame. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one of the first group of people that will be dragged by their faces and flung into the hellfire on the day of judgment were those men and women who called themselves scholars. Allah is going to ask them, what did you do with the knowledge I gave you? They will say, oh, we gave dawah for your sake. We set up dawah booths. We argued and debated the religion with the kafir. We held a protest. Okay, we prayed in the streets of New York City and all the big cities of the world. Allah will say, don't lie to me. You didn't do that for me. You did that for yourself. You wanted the people to think you were a famous celebrity. You wanted the people to think you were a scholar. You wanted the people to think you were a person of knowledge, when in reality, you didn't even know the basics. That the reward of the man's prayer is in the mosque. And the reward of the woman's prayer is in her home. So get ye in the hellfire. There's going to be a lot of people that we see on social media who we think are famous scholars. They're going to be in the hellfire, guys. And the sad reality is, our prophet said they'll be standing on a treadmill with their guts spilled out. And you will recognize them. You will say, oh, look, there's Sheikh so-and-so. There's Mufti so-and-so. There's Ustada so-and-so. There's Imam so-and-so. And you will say, what are you doing here? You used to have YouTube channels. You used to talk about Islam. You used to lead prayers in Times Square. You used to do this. You used to do that. And that person will look at you and say, yes, but I failed to enjoying the good, and I failed to enjoying the evil for myself. So now look at me. I'm walking around on a treadmill with my guts spilled out in the hellfire. The shame. Don't be tricked by the people that you see today. Remember, guys, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said each generation of Muslims will become worse than the previous generation. And to the last generation that's living on earth at the time of the day of judgment will all be kafir. Even though they will all claim to be Muslim, not one of them will be a believer. Well, as of 2023, we are the present generation. If the day of judgment were to come right now, that means we would all be in the hellfire. We would all be kafir, even though we think we ain't. The best of this nation were those who were with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then those that came after them and came after them and came after them. The present people of today, we are the worst. How can you say, based on that hadith, that a man today who calls himself a sheikh, a scholar, a mufti, and all these other terms they're using, he knows this religion better than the early scholars? better than the original companions. When Allah tells you that each generation will become further away from the true Islam, we're nothing today. We're nothing compared to those that came before us. We're worse. And when we turn on CNN News, we see that. When we turn on YouTube and social media, we hear it. The ignorance of this nation. And we wonder why Allah has sent his war. Listen to what Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Who was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz? He was the grandson of Umar radiallahu anha. Ibn Umar was Umar's son. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was his grandson, and he also became the fifth caliph, or the fifth caliph. Listen to what he said in one of his khutbahs. He said, "This life in this world is not your permanent home. Allah has prescribed for your life to end. And he has prescribed for the people of this world to leave it. How often has a thriving population of people been destroyed for something insignificant? And how often has a happy person been made to leave for something insignificant? So prepare well, my people. And may Allah have mercy on you, because the journey with the best of what you have of preparations, and take provisions, for the best of provisions is not protesting, not boycotting. It's what I told you earlier, taqwa Allah, which means consciousness of Allah, fear of his punishment, hoping for his reward, his fame, not the fame of man, not the fame of this world. This is how the early companions were. This is how those tabi'een were. They were the best. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz runs rings around any human being, man or woman of today, in his knowledge and understanding of this deen. What would he say were he living today and saw you Muslim men and filthy women? And I say filthy women because for a woman to stand up in the public with her derriere in the air, you're a filthy woman. You're a disgrace to Islam. What would Umar ibn Abdul Aziz say were he living today to see the masajids around New York City abandoned and the filthy street of Times Square with all the filth there filled with you women and men with your cameras and your sunglasses on and your jewelry on your fingers and around your necks as you claim you praying, but we see your eye on the camera. You ain't even focused on the spot on the filthy ground where your head is gonna hit. It's all about, is this my best side? How many hits I'm getting ready to get now from YouTube? How popular am I getting ready to become now across the world? Are they going to think I'm a scholar now? What would Umar ibn Abdul Aziz say? What would any of the originals say to see you people behaving as you are behaving, especially during this sacred month? The masjids should be filled. The masjids should be filled. Not the marketplace, not the streets and filth, scum areas of the earth. And then I heard one of the brothers say in his YouTube video, Islam will always prevail. Yes, it will. Not because of you. We have to remember, guys, there is no power. There is no might other than Allah, not you. Islam will prevail whether you pray in Times Square or not. You have nothing to do with the prevalence of Islam. Allah is the protector of this deen, not you. You're a disgrace to it. You are a disgrace to it. You are a disgrace, but you did get it right. Islam will always prevail, but not because of you nor the minions who follow you. Y'all understand that? There is no power. There is no might other than Allah. So, if this world is not a permanent home for us, or if this world is not the homeland for the true believer, then the true believer's situation in this world must be either one of two things. Either we are strangers, either we are people whom Allah created and we put here in this world as a stranger. And Allah surrounded us with a lot of good and wonderful things and told us what's lawful. He also explained to us what's unlawful. So either we're living here as a stranger with our main concern being to take the good from this world, so we can return back to our real homeland, our real home, which is paradise. Or we're to live in this world as a traveler. Allah put us here on this earth as a traveler to not make any place here permanent. Instead, every night and every day of our journey here on earth is going to be spent trying to find our way back to our real home, which is paradise. So I'm going to travel lightly. I'm going to travel lightly. Just take what I can carry as I find my way back home to Allah. So this is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised Ibn Umar to live in either one of those two conditions. He said, either live in this world as a stranger, trying to find your way back to Allah, or as a traveler, seeking the means to get back to your home. Okay? So in order to do that, you have to abandon the things here in this world that can cause you to become trapped, such as the fame that these brothers have succumbed to, the money that these brothers have succumbed to, the women, whatever it is, whatever things here in this world that have trapped you and is keeping you, causing you to make it your home, you have to abandon it. You have to be a stranger. The stranger doesn't get too close to anyone. He doesn't get too close to anything. I'm going to sit on the internet and I'm going to teach Islam the way I do. I'll sit here all day if I have to, answering questions about the deen, because that's what the Prophet did. I'm going to make sure that all the answers I give are based on the Quran and the authentic hadith. If it's something I can't answer, I'll get on the phone and call a real scholar that can. And I do have people monitoring me. I have Sheikh Abu Atayib who watches and follows me and corrects me. I have Sheikh Atlee. Sheikh Atlee will tell me if I'm wrong about something. Even Jamali will tell me if I'm wrong about something. But I'm going to sit here and help you to understand your deen without getting attached too deeply. I ain't in it for the fame. I ain't in it for the subscribers. I ain't in it for the popularity. Okay? It's all about distancing yourself. Doing this will free your heart from attachment. That doing this will keep your heart connected to the real homeland, which is paradise. I don't get no money for this. I don't have 1 million subscribers. Anybody on YouTube will tell you, in order to make the money, you got to have at least 1 million subscribers. I only have 11,000. So that'll tell you right there, she ain't looking for the money. My heart is attached to Allah. I'm trying to get good deeds. I'm trying to prepare myself with the good provisions that'll help me through that grave. That's what that hadith is talking about. That's what my stepfather was always telling me. Remember, Layla, your objective in life, my stepfather would say. What is your objective? Your objective is paradise. Never lose focus of that. Never lose focus. You like to write. I love to write. When I was a kid, I was writing for the school newspapers. I was writing for the Plain Dealer. I was in magazines writing. My stepfather said, you like to write, but don't get too attached to that because fitna comes with that. Keep Allah first and foremost in your heart. Okay? I like school. I like learning because I was a genius. My stepfather said, learn everything you can about the English language, because learning the English language will help you to be able to convey the message of Allah in the language the people understand. He said, but remember, Layla, Allah is first. Make sure everything you're doing is for Allah, and never, ever, ever stop learning those hadiths. Put Allah first. Again, the stranger abandons attachment to anything here. That's why when I had my daughter, I love my daughter, but I'm not too attached to her. I love my grandkids, but I'm not too attached to them, because children are gifts. They're loans given to us by Allah. They don't belong to me. They don't belong to you. Allah says our children belong to Him. They are temporary loans that He gives to us to see if we're going to love them more than Him. I don't love my grandkids more than Allah. I don't love my daughter more than Allah. I'm not too attached to them. I'm not attached to my mother. I love my mother, but I know when to hold and when to fold with her. I'm not attached to my brothers like that. I know when to hold and when to fold. I'm not too attached to food. I love food, but I don't overdo it, because I know that if I overdo it, I'll end up fat. I'll end up sick. I would love to be with a man. I would love to have a husband. I would love to have a man here with me right now, holding me, loving me, encouraging me. But it's not in the cards. So I accept the qadr of Allah and I keep it moving, because this world is temporary. Paradise, I ain't got to worry about that. I'll have all the love I want in paradise. I'll have all the support I want in paradise. There's no sadness there. There's no anxiety there. There's no GERD in paradise. I can eat all the food I want and not worry about getting sick. I can have babies and babies and babies and not worry about them disappointing me. That's the stranger. That's the advice the Prophet gave to Ibn Umar. Don't get too attached. Keep your objective in mind. Keep your eye on the sparrow. As my stepfather Yahya used to say, keep your eye on the sparrow. That sparrow is paradise. The second condition, the traveler. This entails lowering yourself in this life. In other words, not having any place that you really call a home. This is a person that moves along from one point of his journey to another, from one point until death. He never attaches too much to anything either, and he only takes the good. He takes the good from where he's traveled to. He only carries a luggage that's enough to get him from one place to another. If he's going to take a gift, it's something that's going to be a benefit to him in that grave. So that's what the prophet meant when he said either be a stranger or a traveler. The bottom line is, in both of those scenarios, neither one of those people are attaching their hearts to this world. In both of those scenarios, their eye is on the ultimate target, the ultimate goal of paradise. They don't expect anything in this world because Allah told us in the Quran that this world is a testing ground. So this traveler, he's not concerned with enjoyment. A lot of people will ask me, Sister Laila, all you do is teach Islam. You need to stop. And I always say, what am I going to replace it with? This is it. What do you want me to do? You want me to stop doing my classes on the internet and do what? Go to a henna party? Go visiting women and backbite and slander? What do you want me to do? It's not like I'm teaching people wrong. It's not like I'm making a whole bunch of mistakes. I got a PowerPoint here. I'm sticking to the Quran. I'm sticking to the Sunnah. I got people watching me. I got real teachers who will correct me if I'm wrong. They listening. So what do you want me to stop teaching for? I ask these brothers all the time. What am I supposed to replace it with? It ain't like I got children. My kids are grown. It ain't like I got a man in here. I'm alone. I retired from work. I paid my dues to society. I get a retirement check. What am I supposed to replace my teaching with? My teaching is remembrance of Allah. This is me, Laila, the stranger. I'm the stranger. No one understands me. No one attaches to me. I'm different. I'm not like any woman or any person you ever met. People think that my voice is loud, but Allah said it's supposed to be loud because I'm a daya. People think I'm eccentric. I am eccentric because what turns other people on don't turn me on. I'm not into this dunya. I'm not into babies. I'm not into cooking. I'm into La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, and I do it well. It ain't like I'm making mistakes up in here. I do this well. So what do you mean I need to stop teaching? Why? I ain't hurting you. And what would you have me replace it with? Henna parties? Y'all see the point? We're messed up as a nation. What did Aisha do? Aisha radiallahu anha, when her husband died, after she learned her lesson with the battle of the camel, how did Aisha radiallahu anha spend the rest of her time? Doing henna parties? Aisha opened up a school for orphan girls, and she took them in, and she taught them to the deen. She was an advisor to Umar radiallahu anha and her father when they were the caliphs. Issues involving women and marriage, they would go to her for advice. People would travel from Syria, Iraq, to learn the religion from her. She had over 300 students. One of them became a teacher of Imam Malik. So what did she do? I'm not doing anything different than Aisha, radiallahu anha. I'm doing nothing different than her. So what's wrong with me teaching Islam? Just twice a day. I'm not denying nobody their rights. I gave my daughter her rights. When my mother needed me, I was there for her. When my brothers needed me, I was there for them. When my grandkids need me now, y'all can see it behind the scenes, I'm there for them. So it ain't like I'm impeding on my rights to anyone. So how dare somebody tell me that I should stop teaching and do what? Henna party, sleep, eat food, flirt with men, get into some porn. What am I supposed to do? I mean, seriously, you sisters, think about that. Think about that. How would you respond if somebody told you that? How would you respond? Seriously, I want you guys to tell me, how would you respond if some brother told you, Sister Layla, you should stop teaching Islam? Really? And what would you have me do in this place? Seriously, that's how we are today. So again, guys, one of the best ways to practice Islam is to look at the advice. Look at the advice that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave to his companions. And this is just one advice that he gave to Ibn Umar. He gave other advices too. When I grew up, my stepfather, he would speak to me with the advices that the Prophet gave to the different companions. But this one stood out the most with me. Do not attach yourself too much to the life of this world. Yes, we all know there's a time for this. There's a time for that. I don't just sit on the internet giving dawah all day, guys. I cook. I clean my house. I get my coffee. I wash my clothes. I watch my TV shows. Y'all know I'm into the Vampire Diaries. I'm into Teen Wolf. I watch my TV shows. I even got my book I'm writing in. I check on my grandkids. I check on my mother. I call my best friends. I know there's a time for this and a time for that, but don't ever tell me the 2 times I take for Allah is at 6:30 and 9:30. That's my time for Allah. I ain't gonna replace him with nothing else. What else is there to replace him with? So we learn, guys, to not attach ourselves too much to the life of this world. Know that there's a time for this and a time for that. But we need to also look at ourselves as either a stranger or a traveler. Because if we did that, we would never get too comfortable in this world where we make the mistakes that we see these brothers, these dawah brothers making on YouTube with the prayers in the street. We wouldn't make the mistakes that these brothers are making who are bashing the scholars, the early scholars who ain't here to defend themselves. We wouldn't make the mistakes that these people are making, slandering the companions, slandering the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We wouldn't make the mistakes that these Muslim women are making, softening their voices, making the men think that a woman like me is crazy because I'm loud. but because they're sensual, sexual in their voices and laughing and talking and ain't talking about nothing, that's the way a woman's supposed to be. We wouldn't make those type of mistakes if we didn't attach ourselves too much to this world. When we do that, we lose focus as to what Allah created us for. When we do that, we lose reality that this world is a testing ground. That's all it is. It's a testing ground. If we thought this way, guys, then our faith would be strong. Our faith would be true. So I'm going to leave all of you tonight with the question of, which one are you? Are you a stranger or are you a traveler? You should be at least one. If you're not a stranger, if you're not a traveler, then you're lost. All right, I'm going to stop right here.